Hello everyone, how are you? I hope everybody's doing well. Today is February 2nd, 2017. Over the course of next 1 week or so, I'll be talking about a batch of laptops that are specifically made and sold to businesses. It is a lot sexier to talk about things like Razer Blade laptops or MSI, Gigabyte, Asus's Republic of Gaming laptops, Alienware. So yes, those are a lot more fun and a lot more horsepower and what have you. However, not all of us do play video games, and laptops are very prevalent, obviously, in the world of business. Actually, a lot, the trend has changed, or even the desktops are now not as common as before. So to open up the series, which I'll call early 2017, what I'll be talking about is the HP ProBook 440 G3, Dell Latitude 7470, Lenovo Carbon X240, and Lenovo ThinkPad T460, which is their most current model. So basically, it's a crop of all the latest models from these guys. Each model aimed slightly differently at maybe a different target. Also, there's a price range that each model is specifically targeting. So with that said, we'll jump right into the one we will be talking about today, which is the HP ProBook 440 G3. So some improvements made over the second generation laptop of a ProBook 4. Basically targeted to the mobile professionals, like the sales guy that's traveling, maybe small business workers, where the budget may not be as kind as a Fortune 500, a big enterprise. So it's there's this section in the demographics where the computer needs to deliver a certain level of performance while at the same time keeping the cost at a reasonable level, so that it's attractive to those of us with that kind of a need. So the hardware specification wise, the unit is sporting Intel's 6th generation Skylake architecture. This particular model is equipped with Core i5, has integrated Intel graphic of HD 520. There are you could configure this model and with the AMD Radeon as well as a dedicated graphics, but I don't know why anyone would do that. That's shopping for this model because of a variety of different reasons. And it features a lot of things that those of us enterprise IT would actually love. Things like the HP's Biosphere, the remote diagnostic tools, TPM, Trusted Management Platform, that's available on this laptop, offering hardware level of encryption. Things of that nature are, if you're in the market for that type of that set of features, this fits quite nicely without blowing up the budget. Commonly, you can currently buy one of these for about $600, and depending on your configuration, the price will obviously change. This very model that I'm working with is i5, 8 gigabytes of RAM, and 14-inch screen with a touch display. You could also get something that is a slightly less expensive, that's the same resolution panel without the touch panel, or you can get the 1920 by 1080 resolution panel. The one I have is a 1366 by 768 resolution, and the touch screen version only comes in that resolution. So let's talk about the display. The display, as I mentioned, is 1360 by 1366 by 768, and at that resolution, which is common with the laptops in this price range, isn't gonna offer you anything that's breathtaking. So you could still consume media, whether that's Netflix, YouTube, your own media, what have you, and get a reasonably pleasant experience. But obviously you can't watch anything that's 1080p in its native resolution. And the panel is not as bright as some of the other laptops that we'll be talking about moving forward. And the sharp crispness that I call whether screen is a sharp or not by saying it's crisp in appearance or not. It's not the best I've seen. However, it's completely usable. With that said, to me, the things look a little bit washed out to me. It's very hard to convey these messages over a YouTube video, but that is what it is. And the screen flex is, I would say, about minimum. About medium. So it's not as rigid, but it's not too mushy or soft either. The B-roll of this will show the screen, but the screen itself has a pretty thick bezel, top and bottom, and all to the side. The screen itself is attached and works off of two hinges located right here, and the laptop sports they have some term for this textured top cover. It's basically rubberized plastic. It's just enough where it would give you some traction as you're holding it and carrying it around. Because if it's just completely all metal, that would get a little bit slippery. So as I say, the actual surface where your palm rest is, it is very slick. It has brushed aluminum appearance, and the hinge folds back. The screen folds right up to about this angle, right about 45 degrees, I think. So that's where the screen tilts to. And the keyboard on a long day of typing, it's a chiclet style keyboard. It has a nice backlit. I believe the backlit has two different settings: the super bright, the full strength, and medium, and then none. So it's a pleasure to work with in the dark environment with that. And the keyboard itself, it has a pretty decent amount of travel. Dare I say, maybe too much. And I may be a little bit influenced by coming off using my MacBook Pro late 2016 model as my daily driver. With that, obviously, as you guys, well, those of you know, the keyboard travel is extremely minimal. So compared to that, well, actually, we shouldn't be comparing to that because that's not an apple to an apple. But let's say like the ThinkPad line of keyboards. It does have a decent amount of travel. The tactile feedback is great. The attack is just right. Also, at the same time, if you have been typing on it for a while, it may feel just a tad mushy to me. The keyboard layout is generally okay. Basically, it has this row of buttons on the far right that goes delete, home, page up, page down, and the cursor key, the right arrow cursor. So the top and bottom cursor keys have to be sliced in half to accommodate being fit on this keyboard layout. I don't know. I'm not in love with it. Do I hate it? No. It's something I could work with. So on the top surface, so you would have the power key and the keyboard, and here's a dedicated button to turn Wi-Fi on and off, and then a dedicated button for audio mute. So audio, speaking of audio, the unit does feature DTS, and it has for a laptop in this price range, this has a very reasonable audio. By the way, I don't know if I finished the discussion of pricing earlier. So this particular one sporting i5, 8 gig and all that, you could buy it right around $600. You could get a little bit less when you drop down to i3 and less RAM, dropping the touch panel, and then you could go up in price by opting out for the 1080p panel, TPM version change, the fingerprint reader. You can also bump it up to 16 gig. This unit, it has a maximum capacity of 16 gig RAM. The computer comes with a 4-cell battery as a standard offering. On the HP's spec, the website states it will last about 9.5 hours, but in my test, basically with the screen at full blast, Wi-Fi going, general daily usage such as web surfing, processing emails, occasional YouTube videos, so on as I am Facebooking and all this. So your general day-to-day tasks being handled, I was able to get about 7 hours and 40 minutes or so. So it's a little, obviously it's a little less than what the manufacturer will tell you, because when they talk about the battery capacity, screen's going to be dimmed down and all different arrangements would be made to maximize the battery life. So exterior wise, we talked about the top having a little bit of a rubberized plastic, bottom is just plastic. Since they're not going for the thinnest appearance like the Envy line of laptops of theirs, HP, they're giving you pretty decent set of ports. So you're going to have your power, you're going to have your ventilation area. It's got side and the bottom ventilation, and USB 2.0, USB 2.0, which is also a power port, audio, SD card slot, and then there's nothing on this side. And then you're going to come to your right side edge, and that will give you your Kensington lock, Ethernet, VGA, and HDMI out, and 2 of USB 3.0 ports. Now the VGA port inclusion is very nice, since it gives you ability to output to a secondary monitor, whether that's bigger monitor or where you want to use extended display configuration. That's great. However, number of LCDs coming out nowadays, increasingly they are doing away with the VGA, obviously due to its limitations. So having HDMI port on top of that is very nice, but I believe they could have done without the VGA. But in real life scenario, I guess that could come in handy, because let's say like the mobile professional that's traveling with the laptop arrives at a client location, they may only have a projector that accepts VGA as input, or that type of arrangement. Therefore, having somewhat of a legacy VGA port may come in handy. So with that said, that's about the spec and general review of the laptop. And the laptop, over the period of day, it does get slightly warm, obviously. The palm rest, especially the right hand side, but when I say warm, I would say generally cooler. It doesn't get as hot as the MacBooks. So it's definitely okay for all day usage. The fit and finish is nothing to really write home about. As you saw earlier, there is a bit of a flex, there's a bit of a give, and even the base has a bit of a flex to, bit of a flex to it. And the way the hinges are, they seem strong enough, but there is a plenty of gap between the body and the hinge, which, if it was a little bit better engineered, maybe we would have seen slightly less gap. The rubberized plastic will collect any sort of a finger grease, so no Cheetos and potato chips and then touching the exterior of the laptop. What else do I need to talk about? On the Geekbench 4 benchmark, it scored the 15,161. As I go over more laptops, we'll establish a baseline and we'll work with our numbers. But that's generally gonna wrap up my brief review of this HP ProBook 440 G3. So next, again, within a week or so, we'll be talking about the Dell Latitude. This model is similarly equipped to this ProBook and marketed to the same type of demographics. And then I don't have them busted out of the boxes yet, but we do have the Lenovo ThinkPad X240 Carbon and ThinkPad T460 as well. So we will talk about those, compare, and if you're a small business owner or whatnot and you're in the market for one of these business class machines, we'll talk about pros and cons. So speaking of pros and cons, what I like about this laptop, it's a great value for money as far in terms of performance is concerned. No, it will not set your roof on fire. However, it has enough horsepower to carry you through all day long. What I don't like, build quality could be improved. Wi-Fi performance could be slightly better. The dismal battery life is what's going to be the weakest chain in this laptop. Otherwise, very well put together, good value of a laptop. So the battery life and the screen could be improved. However, I'm getting really nitpicky here. So, because if you are a just general population, just looking for a laptop that you process emails and do web surfing and some occasional media consumption, whatnot, the display's fine. Just seems that it's not bright enough and the color calibrate. I don't have the specific color meters to measure the brightness or the color accuracy, but general appearance is a bit whitewashed out to me. So those are what I would consider as cons. But again, for $600, you're getting a lot of a laptop. You do get a little bit of a bloatware. I mean, who really needs Candy Crush on a laptop? But you do get that. And a slew of other HP's in-house software to keep the laptop up and running, such as the soft pack, update loader, and things of that nature. All right, so that wraps up for HP ProBook 440 G3. I will see you next time with a different laptop, and until then, you guys all take care. Thank you.